Words by Michelle Knudsen. Illustrations by Matt Phelan. Some of the kids in Marilyn's class had monsters. It was the latest thing. Marilyn didn't have a monster. Not yet. You couldn't just go out and get one. Your monster had to find you. That's just the way it worked. Some kids woke up to find their monster had chosen them while they slept. Some kids got their monsters on the way home from school, or on the bus, or in the park. Timmy's monster chose him right in the middle of a history test. At first, Marilyn wasn't even worried about it. Eventually, her monster would find her too. There were still a bunch of kids who didn't have monsters yet. But then Franklin got his at the library, and Rebecca got hers while riding her bike. And Lenny got his while he was running away from some mean older kids who kept picking on him. Nobody picked on Lenny anymore after that. After a while, Marilyn was the only one left without a monster. She knew she wasn't supposed to try to look for him, but she kind of did anyway. She hung around the library hoping. She poked around the playground pretending not to look under the slide and behind the climbing bars. She watched the others with their monsters, playing and laughing and having fun and never being alone. At night, when her room was dark and scary, Marilyn thought about how good it would be to have her monster there beside her. "We're sure you'll get your monster soon," said her parents. "I bet you'll never get one," said her brother. "It probably came already and took one look at you and ran the other way." Marilyn tried to be patient. She tried to believe her monster was still coming. She made sure she brushed her hair very carefully every morning and wore pretty clothes and smiled a lot and tried to look very friendly and interesting and smart and fun to be around. She tried to be the kind of girl no monster could resist. But at the end of the week, her monster still hadn't come. She was afraid that maybe her brother was right. "Maybe I'm better off without a monster," she told her friend Deborah at school. "They seem like a lot of work." Said Deborah. She didn't really seem to agree. "Maybe your monster's just running late," said Margaret. "Maybe it's invisible and it's been here all along and you didn't even notice," said Jerome. That night in her room, Marilyn whispered into the scary dark, "Are you invisible? Have you really been here all along?" But if her monster was there, he didn't say so. Marilyn stopped trying to seem pretty and nice and friendly and fun all the time. She stopped looking around in the library and the playground after school. She started feeling mad. Where was her monster? What was taking him so long? She was so mad sometimes she thought maybe she really didn't want a monster. What was so great about monsters anyway? But they were pretty great. She could see that they were. She wanted one more than she could say. "That's it," Marilyn said one morning. "I'm going to find my monster." "You can't," said her brother. "That's not the way it works." "Maybe," said Marilyn, "but you don't really know. Maybe my monster is different." She put on her good walking shoes and packed a thermos of juice and a peanut butter and banana sandwich. Then she made a second sandwich and put that in her bag too. Marilyn went out and started looking. She didn't just kind of look, she really looked. She looked as hard as she could. She searched behind the stone lions that sat outside the library. She checked beneath the benches at the playground and the park. She went down the winding path through the woods and out into the big field with the wildflowers. She didn't see her monster. Marilyn stopped in the middle of the field. She closed her eyes and stood very still. She thought about trying to sing a beautiful song like those princesses in movies did sometimes that made all the little animals come and sit on their shoulders. She thought about trying again to be patient and wait and hope that her monster would find her someday soon. Then she took a deep, deep breath and shouted in her loudest voice, "Where are you?" And then, very softly, she heard a voice say, "Here." Marilyn followed the voice. It was very quiet, but she could hear it very clearly. She followed it across the field and into the woods on the other side and over to a tall tree. And there was her monster, half hidden among the leaves. "I got lost," her monster said in his small, soft voice. And then I got scared, and then I got stuck. Her monster had two long, lovely wings. They were tangled and caught in the branches. Marilyn climbed up and very, very gently helped her monster get free. I kept hoping you would come and find me, her monster said. I'm sorry it took me so long, Marilyn said back. Then they sat there together and had peanut butter and banana sandwiches and juice. When they were ready, Marilyn's monster lifted her up and flew her all the way back home. Oh, honey, said her parents, your monster found you at last. We found each other, Marilyn said. She and her monster smiled together. It's not supposed to work that way, her brother said. Marilyn just looked at him. She didn't think he was right about that. She thought there were a lot of different ways that things could work. And that night, when Marilyn went to bed, the dark didn't seem so scary. Marilyn wasn't sad or afraid or lonely. She was happy. Marilyn's monster was too. Marilyn's monster.
Sometimes we wait for our monsters to come to us. Sometimes we have to go out and get them, don't we? I now invite our children to attend their religious education classrooms or stay here in the sanctuary if they prefer. As we here at UUI are waiting for our ministers to find us, or to know if we're going to have to go out looking, I invite Matt Russell from the search committee to give us an update.
Thank you. Representative of the Ministerial Search Committee, Matt Russell, he, him. The best line in that story was, "We found each other." That's where we are. We, as the search committee, spent 4 hours together on Monday night and then had our list, and then on Tuesday consulted with the board, and Tuesday evening we submitted that list to the UUA Transitions Office. And now we wait. We are at the top of the roller coaster, waiting for the excitement to begin. We're that last word of the play, waiting for the applause. We're in between. And if you are interacting with anybody on the search committee or the board in the next few days, please have a little kindness and grace, because we are all just waiting anxiously. Thank you.
There's an old saying, it's not really a joke, about how someone prays for patience and God replies, "Great, I'm going to give you so many opportunities to practice." If you have ever been in that situation, you know that that is less of a joke than it is a cosmic warning. Do you know that? Have you had that experience? I certainly do. Patience sounds like such a gentle, peaceful virtue. But the reality is that anyone who has ever had to actually practice patience knows that patience can be really, really hard. It's active. It takes effort to stay patient when every part of you wants to move, to do something. Poor Marilyn, as everybody was getting their monsters, she was just trying to be patient. We are nearing the end of our ministry together. You will soon have a new minister, and I will be moving on to something that I'm trying to be patient about myself. So I've been thinking about patience a lot recently and about its close cousin, anticipation. At first glance, patience and anticipation look pretty similar. They both involve waiting, but they feel completely different when you are in the middle of them. Patience is like a long stretch, a steady breath where you say, okay, I'm settling in, I can get through this. Anticipation is different. Like Matt said, anticipation is you're almost at the very top of the roller coaster. It's the held breath. It's when something feels close enough to imagine, but not quite close enough to see or to touch. And that shift from patience to anticipation can be one of the hardest parts of any waiting period. Because when you're being patient, you can settle into it a little. You can find a rhythm. You know what's being asked of you. Okay, I got this. I can keep doing this. But anticipation unsettles things. It wakes everything back up again. Suddenly, you're checking your email more often, thinking about possibilities, imagining outcomes, wondering what is going to happen and when. You haven't arrived at your destination, but you're not in that long middle part anymore either. Like that last excruciating hour of a day-long drive. You're at the edge of knowing, of being done, and it can be so difficult. Has anyone not felt this? We pretty much all have, right? And we feel it in our personal lives, but it happens in our collective life as a community as well. And that's where this congregation is right now in regards to your ministerial search. You've done what was asked of you. You showed up. You gave input. You trusted your search committee to do the work on behalf of this congregation, and they have done that work. And they have submitted their rankings. And now, you wait. You wait to see if there's going to be a match. But this isn't the same kind of waiting that we were in months ago, right? This is different because this is on the edge of something new. In the next few days and weeks, you're going to know a lot more than you do right now. You are at a fork in the road, and pretty soon you'll know which way to go, but you don't know yet. Anyone who has ever waited for test results knows this feeling. You've had the symptoms. You were patient through the scans or the blood draw or the biopsy, and then you go home and maybe for a little while you're fine. You make dinner, watch some television, and then eventually it hits you probably at 2 o'clock in the morning or thereabouts, that pretty soon you're going to know which way to go, what your options are, what the next steps might look like. But right now, you can't take that step because you don't yet know what the direction is going to be. You're standing at a fork in the road in the dark, and you know the sun is coming up, but it hasn't yet. So you wait. And maybe while you're waiting, you notice yourselves bargaining a little bit, making deals with the universe. If it's good news, I'll... Or maybe you notice that you're bracing. You're pre-rehearsing the worst things that come, that's the worst, so that if it comes, you'll be ready, as if you could be ready. And then there's that other thing, the strange guilt of hope, like hoping too hard might jinx it. Oh my God, I do this all the time. Like you should keep your expectations low so that you won't be crushed. So you hold yourself in this impossible middle, hoping, but not too much, preparing, but not too grimly, waiting, but not patiently, not anymore. That is anticipation. That is what anticipation feels like in our bodies, not just words on the page or as an intellectual concept. And I name all of this because I know some version of it is alive in this room in many of us right now. Something important is about to be revealed, and you don't know what it's going to be yet. You hope for good news, of course, but more than that, you're ready for kind of just any news. Because once you know, you can act, you can respond, you can take the next step. Because even difficult news carries with it a strange kind of relief, because then it ends that uncertainty. Then the roller coaster is going down, finally. It gives you something to stand on, a direction to go. But right now, we're being asked to stay present in the not knowing. I remember this feeling in a very different context when I was waiting for my first child to be born. I had reached the point where I had done everything I could possibly do. I was at 41 weeks. I had prepared, I had planned, I had tried to influence the timing in every way the internet lists. And still, nothing about that labor happened on my timeline. And when things did begin, they didn't unfold the way I expected. What stayed with me about that experience wasn't the birth plan that didn't work out or the surprise C-section or anything that came after. It was the realize that so much of it was simply out of my hands. I could prepare, right? We can plan, we can prepare, we could do all of the things, but in the end, during that labor, which thankfully turned out just fine, I was just along for the ride, doing my best, holding on, and hoping that it would all turn out okay. And I think that might be how it feels for some of us in this room right now, too. We're not in the beginning, we're not in the endless middle, but we're right up against that moment when something big is about to shift. And the reality is we won't know the outcome of this process. The reality is that we don't know yet what the outcome of this process is going to be. It may lead, hoping, to a contract to call minister. If it does, there will be a new beginning to step into together, preparations to be made, the excitement of a new minister coming. If it doesn't lead to a contract to call minister, there will be more work to do, decisions to be made, a different path forward that might mean going into the round of open search that starts on April 1st. It might lead to another interim year with another minister while you gather yourselves to try for search again. But no matter what, you will not be in this place of not knowing very much longer. Clarity is coming. Not complete clarity necessarily, as much as we might wish it to be, but the next piece. And once you have the next piece, you'll know how to respond. You'll know what comes next. Now, there's something that happens in seasons like this one that I've seen happen in congregations before, and I think that when we name it out loud, it takes away some of its power. When we are in this kind of waiting, when the stakes feel high and when we don't have control, we do things. Very human things, very understandable things, but things that don't always serve us very well. Out of our anxiety in moments like this, some of us start reading tea leaves. We parse every word from the search committee for a hidden meaning. We notice who's smiling and who's not. And we build entire theories from a facial expression across the sanctuary. Back when congregations had pre-candidating weekends at nearby congregations, people would be scanning the bulletins of other churches to see if they could figure out who the pre-candidates for ministry might be. We become amateur detectives looking for clues because gathering clues feels like doing something, right? And doing something feels a lot better than just waiting. We're sitting there on the bench with our best clothes on. Some of us may also start projecting. You may imagine what your new minister will be like, not based on who they actually are, but based on what you most hope for or what you most fear. You build a person in your mind, and then you start having a relationship with that imagined person. And then the real person, whoever they turn out to be, will have to compete with the version that you have just invented. Others of us may decide on pre-disappointment. We've been through this before. maybe even in this congregation or in another part of our lives. And rather than risk hoping and then being let down, some of us decide that in advance that it probably won't work out anyway. That way, if it doesn't, we were right. And if it does, well, we'll be pleasantly surprised. It feels like self-protection, and it can be, but it also then keeps you from being fully here, fully present to what is actually happening, the good and the hard. Some of us also will just quietly withdraw. We're just going to pull back. Maybe you stop showing up as fully. You tell yourself you'll re-engage once you know what's happening. You put your hearts on a shelf for safekeeping, thinking, well, I'll just take it down again when I know who the minister is and if I know if it's safe. And then others of us are like jelly donuts. Do you know what I mean? Jelly donuts, when the pressure builds, the filling squirts out sideways and gets on everything. We don't mean to be jelly donuts, but the anxiety has to go somewhere, and so we snap at a partner or fire off a sharp email or pick a fight in a committee meeting about something that really isn't what we're worried about. The pressure of not knowing squeezes us, and the people closest to us end up wearing jelly on them. Please know that I am not sharing any of this to scold anyone. I name all of these ways of coping because I have seen every single one of these reactions in congregations going through this process, and because I have done them myself in other areas of my life. They are deeply human. They absolutely make sense. And gently and with love, let me remind you, those responses are not how you are being called to be in this moment. What this moment is asking of you, of this congregation, is harder. It's asking you to stay steady long enough to receive what comes next, to resist the urge to jump ahead, to resist the urge to spiral into worst-case scenarios or cling tightly to best-case ones, to resist the urge to lash out when we can't control what is happening, and instead to stay present in this moment, in this community with one another. Because here's something else I really want you to hear. Your life as a congregation is not on hold right now. It's not. I know it might feel that way. We'll start this new program when the new minister comes, or we'll do this with the new minister. It can feel like everything is just waiting for the next minister, like the real story will start when they arrive, and right now you're just in the previews. But that's not true, and I think you know it's not true when you stop and look around at one another. This congregation has been a community for a long time. Ministers have come, and ministers have gone. I am not your first, and your next minister will not be your last. That is the nature of this ministerial relationship. Ministers are, by design, temporary. We serve for a season, sometimes a long season, sometimes a shorter one, but the congregation endures. The congregation is the thing that lasts. Now, I don't say that to diminish the role of a minister. A good minister matters. A good minister at the right time can help a congregation become itself more fully. They can challenge you and comfort you and walk beside you through things you didn't know were coming. But they don't build the congregation. They don't create the congregation. You do. You always have. Think about what you have built just in the time that I have been here. Think about the stewardship campaign that you're in the middle of right now and making amazing progress on. Think about the promises that you are making to each other and to this congregation. Think about the conversations we've had in the last 2.5 years about who you want to be, about your mission and vision. Think about the ways you've shown up for each other in seasons of grief, in seasons of joy. Think about what it means that you are here on a Sunday morning together, choosing this Your next minister is going to walk into this. They're going to walk into what is being shaped right now by you, not by them, by you. And beloved, just about any good minister can help you get where you want to go, because the direction is yours. The values are yours. The vision for what this community is becoming, that belongs to you. A minister is a partner in that work, an important partner, yes, but a partner, not the author. So when I say your life as a congregation is not on hold, I mean it. Every Sunday you gather, every conversation you have with each other, every act of care, every moment of connection, you are already living the life that your next chapter will grow out of. That doesn't stop while we wait, and it doesn't stop whatever the results of this search might be. One caveat: if you are on the board or the ministerial search committee, your waiting looks different. Most of the congregation is being asked to sit with the not knowing that their monsters will appear to them. And that's hard enough, right? But the board and the search committee are more like Marilyn in our Words for All Ages. They haven't just been waiting for their minister, their monster, to find them. They have been packing their lunch and gone looking. So their waiting may be a bit more active. Hopefully they don't have to climb any trees or untangle any wings. But their waiting isn't passive. It comes with decisions and phone calls and emails and judgment calls that carry real weight. And I want you, the ministerial search committee members and board members, to know that this congregation sees that and trusts you to do what you've been doing. You have gotten them this far. They have faith in you. And so, if any of you, all of us, find yourself feeling restless in the coming weeks, good. That means you care. If you find yourself checking your email a little too often to see if an announcement has been made, you are not alone. If you feel that mix of hope and anxiety rising up together, that makes sense, because this does matter. And because it matters, it's hard to sit in a space just before you know, just as the roller coaster is about to hit the top. Something is coming, and soon you'll know more than you do right now. And then, when you do, you will take the next step together. May it be so. May we, together, make it so.